Welcome to ENI UK and Europe edition. I'm Ashley Spirity reporting from London. We bring you news reports from the United Kingdom and Europe, and we have live reporters on standby ready to give their reports. For our headlines. By-election voters head to polls as UK Prime Minister faces key test in Heartland. Panic in Britain as Omicron crisis bites. And France bans non-essential travel to and from the UK. And first from our correspondents, we have Arian and Eric Samuel Celestino giving us a tour of London's Victoria and Albert Museum. Then we have Beverly Madrid coming to us live from EBC Spain. Hello, Beverly.
Hello, Ashley. Good morning.
Good morning. What will you be reporting for us today?
I'll be reporting about Spain starting vaccination for children aged 5 and 11. Back to you.
Thank you, Beverly. From EBC Switzerland, we have Mian Glauser. Hello, Mian.
Hi, Ashley. So we'll be reporting about Swiss Army being mobilized for the third time to assist hospitals. Back to you, Ashley.
Thank you. And from EBC Germany, we have Jessica Kalau. Hello, Jessica.
Hi, Ashley. Today I will be reporting about Germany's new government after 16 years.
Thank you. And for our sports news, our sports correspondent Ryan Florentino reports on Martinelli and Smith Rowe fire Arsenal into top 4 in the Premier League, and Tearful Aguero retires from football due to a heart problem. And of course, we have our view from our window coming from Santorini, Greece. Voters cast ballots Thursday in a constituency that embattled British Prime Minister Boris Johnson's ruling Conservatives had never lost, with any defeat set to intensify questions about his leadership following weeks of scandals. The by-election in North Shropshire in central England has become a test of leadership for Johnson, who is reeling after roughly 100 of his own MPs rebelled in Parliament on Tuesday against the government's introduction of vaccine passes for large events. The UK leader's authority has already been clobbered repeatedly in recent weeks by claims of corruption and reports that he and his staff broke coronavirus rules last December. Weeks of bad headlines have turned what would normally be a routine victory in the safe rural seat into a far more fraught process for Johnson's Tories, while surging virus cases have added to a sense of crisis. The government reported nearly 89,000 new infections Thursday, the second consecutive record daily tally. Ahead of polls opening in the seats of around 80,000 voters, Johnson appeared to be struggling to convince locals to stick with him, prompting predictions of a historic loss in a seat where the previous Conservative MP won a huge 23,000 majority in the last election. Voting, which closes at 2200 Great British time, with the results expected hours later, is increasingly seen as a referendum on his turbulent premiership just 2 years after his landslide victory in December 2019. Defeat would likely see more MPs filing letters of no confidence in their leader, which could trigger an internal party vote to remove him. The process saw his predecessor Theresa May ousted in mid-2019 after MPs, including Johnson, voted against her Brexit deal in Parliament. The Liberal Democrats have the best chance of overturning the Conservatives' huge majority, helped by supporters of the main national opposition, Labour Party, leading them to their votes. Martin Hill, 68, who normally votes Labour, told AFP earlier this week, "I'll be voting for the Liberal Democrats because I'm so offended by the performance of Johnson. It'll be a tactical vote. I want to give Johnson a slap in the face." However, others in the small town of Whitchurch were prepared to overlook the former London mayor's transgressions. 67-year-old Sue Parkinson, who has voted Conservative for the last 2 decades, said, I think Boris Johnson's been a bit silly, really, like a naughty little schoolboy. I don't think it's enough for us to say, right, we want a new leader now, because I think Boris has done an excellent job. Soaring Omicron cases left Britain scrambling to make alternative plans faced with cancellations, long queues for vaccines, and France shutting the border to UK visitors. Britain recorded a second consecutive record daily number of new COVID infections at more than 88,000, but the government has so far stopped short of formal limits on socialising as it awaits further evidence of the severity and impact of the new Omicron variant. Last year, year-end celebrations were drastically curtailed after the Alpha variant swept the country. Britons had hoped that this year would be different, but cases have again shot up since the Omicron strain of the virus first emerged. The UK government last week updated its guidance to advise people to work from home if they can, while mandating they must wear face masks in some settings. But it has stopped short of recommending the cancellation of social gatherings, with embattled Prime Minister Boris Johnson instead recommending that people get booster vaccines, COVID tests, and act cautiously. Recent days have seen long lines outside vaccination centres in London and other towns and cities as people heeded Johnson's call to get jabbed again. But at the same time, restaurants, theatres and other entertainment venues have reported rising cancellations and concerns about their viability as the case numbers continue to climb. From the top down, people were changing plans. Queen Elizabeth II, 95, cancelled her traditional family lunch next week, despite Johnson insisting such gatherings could still go ahead. In a bid to curb the spread of Omicron across the Channel, the French government announced it would ban non-essential travel to and from the UK from Saturday for both unvaccinated and fully jabbed non-residents. The sudden announcement sparked anxiety and even panic among would-be travellers scrambling to cross the Channel in time for New Year's. Johnson has set a highly ambitious target of offering a third vaccine dose to all adults by the end of the month, requiring around 1 million jabs a day. Health officials have been scaling up their efforts through this week, saying Thursday they had administered nearly 750,000 into arms the previous day. France said on Thursday that it would be banning non-essential travel to and from the UK. This announcement comes in response to UK's record number of COVID-19 cases. Starting December 18th, only valid and compelling reasons will justify travel between France and the UK for non-French citizens and their families. Travel for tourism and professional reasons will not be allowed. Coming to France will also require a negative PCR or antigen test for less than 24 hours for all travellers aged 12 and above, the completion of an online registration form and isolation. Isolation can be lifted after 48 hours subject to a negative PCR or antigen test. The government has called on travellers to postpone travel to the United Kingdom. France is currently on its fight against the fifth wave of the pandemic. On Thursday, it reported an average increase in the past week of 8.57% of hospitalizations and 5.76% of people requiring critical care. Time for a break, but please come back for more E&I, UK and Europe edition.
When things are tough and all you want is a sweet treat, many of us turn to chocolates. Maaaring magbigay ng agarang kaligayahan ng tsokolate sa pagpapabuti ng ating damdamin pati na rin ng ating kalusugan. We are on the verge of putting the Philippines on the global chocolate map as the preferred source of premium chocolates. What were the ventures that led to the establishment of our own chocolate production? Ano-ano ang mga epekto ng pandemya sa cocoa sustainability ng bansa? In this episode, we will know more about the tree-to-bar chocolate industry with the chocolate maker of the award-winning Malagos Chocolate, Mr. Rex Puentespina, and Ms. Ann Leonardo, Head of Market Development of Globe Business.
Right now, we are taking it one day at a time lang, no? and this will involve a lot of pencil pushing and compute na to be competitive. No? So, practicality is key.
Bawat bisita po natin sa website, bili natin ng produkto, tumutulong po tayo sa ating mga negosyanteng Pilipino. At hindi lang po sila, again, ang ating tinutulungan. Tinutulungan din po natin yung mga partner communities nila.
All these in this episode of Open for Business.
Welcome back to E&I UK and Europe edition. I'm Ashley Spiritu. Interesting stories from around the UK and Europe this week. We go on a tour of London's Victoria and Albert Museum. We have Arian Celestino and Aaron there. Let's watch.
Appreciation of art and culture has always been highly encouraged. For this reason, many people enjoy visiting museums and being exposed to sculpture and paintings from time to time.
One of the world's largest museums of decorative art and design is the Victoria and Albert Museum. It accommodates a permanent collection which has over 2.5 million objects.
Everything started in 1851 through a successful exhibition. The profits or outcome of it was used to establish the museum. Hence, a few years later, to be more specific, exactly 6 years later, the museum moved to its present site. Victoria Albert's collections of ceramics, glass, textiles, dress, silver, jewelry, furniture, sculpture, paintings, prints, and photographs are considered some of the most important in the world.
Contemporary design is an important part of the Victoria and Albert's newer collections. And exhibitions by designers are very popular. Recently, the £48 million development of the Victoria and Albert Exhibition World Quarter marked a new era for the museum.
Visitors can now enter the museum through the Blavatnik Hall and visit the new Sainsbury Gallery. The museum is indeed vast and full of interesting objects. Apart from art and sculpture, it also provides a green space where families can have a relaxing break from all the walking around. They can have a picnic there, especially during warm seasons, as it is a perfect place where you can just enjoy the view whilst eating and resting with friends and family. But if you prefer an indoor place, don't worry. Victoria and Albert Museum has to offer an inside cafeteria too.
Hi guys, so we just visited the Victoria and Albert Museum, right Savannah?
Yes.
So, what did you think of it?
Oh, I thought it was amazing, and I'm always amazed by all these artists who are able to make these works.
Right? So we really do invite you when you visit London to come here and check it out. Yeah?
And this is it.
We hope you enjoyed visiting the Victoria and Albert Museum with us. I am Eric Samuel Celestino.
And I'm Arian Celestino, and we'll live in interesting times.
Thank you for that beautiful tour, Arian and Eric. The Spanish government has decided to start the vaccination of children. Beverly Madrid joins us today with the details. Hello, Beverly.
Hello, Ashley. Yes. Spain joined Croatia, Germany, Greece, and Hungary in vaccinating children aged 5 to 11 on Wednesday after the EU's health agency warned that immunization alone would not curb the rapid rise of the Omicron variant of COVID-19 virus. According to the health ministry, the aim is to vaccinate more than 3 million children in this age group during December and January. The health ministry sent the first shipment of 1.3 million doses to Spain's 17 autonomous communities this week, with more doses expected in January. This occurs after the country's Public Health Commission approved the vaccination against COVID-19 for children between 5 and 11 years old on December 7th. Spain currently has fully vaccinated 89.6% of its population aged 12 and over, according to the latest data from the Ministry of Health. The momentum was given new urgency by the rapid spread of the heavily mutated Omicron variant, which EU Chief Ursula von der Leyen warned could be dominant in Europe by mid-January. Even as children lined up to get jabs, the EU Health Agency ECDC said measures like mask wearing, social distancing, and the prevention of overcrowding were essential to reduce the burden on healthcare systems in the time available, with vaccines alone taking too long. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez stated that he hoped his country, which already has one of Europe's highest COVID-19 vaccination rates, would become an example for the world with its immunization campaign for 5 to 11-year-olds. The Pfizer doses that do not require dilution are lower than those of adults and are also administered in 2 injections separated by 21 days. Doctors across Europe reported strong initial demand from parents. Back to you, Ashley.
Beverly, how is each autonomous community organizing the vaccination program to children aged 5?
Well, Ashley, each of the communities will decide how to organize the vaccination program. Some had already have the doses available on the 14th and began inoculating that same day. For example, the Minister of Health in Andalusia has stated that the vaccination of children would be carried out in schools, while autonomous communities such as Madrid, Murcia, Asturias, or Catalonia have ruled out vaccination in schools, and in the absence of specifying the technical details, they prefer vaccinating in health centers and hospitals. Back to you.
Thank you for joining us today, Beverly, and from Spain.
Thank you, Ashley. Reporting from Spain, I'm Beverly Madrid. We live in interesting times.
Government has deployed the army to provide additional support during the pandemic. Mian Glauser has the details for us today. Hi, Mian.
Hi, Ashley. Indeed, as Switzerland is one of the countries lagging behind its European neighbors in terms of COVID-19 vaccinations, the Swiss Army has been mobilized once again by the Federal Council to speed up this one so they can help injecting sufficient vaccines and give a serious boost to the vaccination program in areas such as Jura Canton, where there is a lack of human resources. By doing this, the 2,500 soldiers also help and support hospitals where caregivers are getting exhausted and overwhelmed in basic care, intensive care units, treatments, logistic, transporting patients, and vaccination depending on the canton's demand. The preparation of doses is being done in a very precise way as it is led and supervised by a doctor or a head nurse of the canton. To receive support from the army, the cantons must prove that they already use all means and civil instruments at their disposal, such as calling on the civil protection, the civil service, firefighters, and private sectors. They must also prove that no extra staff can be recruited from the labor market to the point that there are no more unemployed students in medicine, Samaritans, and other available volunteers at their disposal. Another thing to prove is that taking charge of the patients cannot be undertaken anymore in other public health establishments, and that urgent medical intervention were postponed to free hospital capacity. This decision by the Federal Council is valid until March 31, 2022. However, as it lasts more than 3 weeks, this support service must be approved by the Federal Assembly. Back to you, Ashley.
Thank you for today's report, Mian.
Thank you for having me, Ashley. I'm Mian Galzer reporting from the Geneva, Switzerland Bureau, and we live in interesting times.
Time for a break, but please come back for more ENI UK and Europe edition.
Mouth-to-mouth resuscitation?
Nakikipag-break na daw po si Martin sa atin.
Kainan, hindi ko kailangan makita kasi maalala na kita.
Magnanakaw doon! Bilisan mo! Pulis! Pulis!
Ganun tumakbo.
Bakit mo pinipigilan?
Ang ganda mo kasi. Ang inyong pinakabagong gag show.
Dito sa Net25!
Walang iba kundi ang
Quezon City!
Welcome back to ENI UK and Europe edition. I'm Ashley Spiritu. Interesting stories in the UK. Germany has a new leader, Chancellor Olaf Scholz. To tell us more, we are joined by Jessica Kalau. Hi, Jessica.
Hello, Ashley. So the so-called Angela Merkel era is officially over. Germany's new Chancellor Olaf Scholz delivered his first formal government briefing to the Bundestag, the German parliament, since taking office last week. During his speech, he has given emphasis on topics such as the pandemic, climate change, and even some foreign policy, which touch on the new government's policy agenda. Scholz's center-left Social Democratic Party, the party that narrowly won in September's federal election, will work as a coalition government along with the Greens and the Libertarian Free Democratic Party. It has been said that one of the reasons Scholz and his party triumphed during the federal election is that many Germans see his governing style like Merkel's. He's known for being a calm and pragmatic leader based on his former political post, such as a member of the parliament, mayor of the city of Hamburg, and labor and finance minister in coalition governments under Angela Merkel. Back to you, Ashley.
Thank you, Jessica. What are the challenges ahead for Olaf Scholz and the newly formed coalition?
Well, as Germany is facing the fourth wave of the COVID-19 pandemic, new regulations have been implemented by the new coalition, called the traffic light parties. Recently applied rules follow the so-called 2G regulations, which only allows vaccinated or recovered individuals to enter stores and facilities, whereas stores that are essential for the daily needs are exempted from this. As these regulations are being implemented to hinder the infection rates from rising, it is a challenge for the new government to simultaneously ensure personal freedom and rights. Aside from this, they also face financial challenges, as the traffic light parties have differences regarding their expenditures to realize the party's visions. Furthermore, the coalition's plans to boost the climate protection through sustainability, it poses a big challenge, just like a modernization of the country's infrastructure towards a more digitalized one. Back to you, Ashley.
Thank you for that report, Jessica.
Thank you for having me today. I'm Jessica Kala, reporting from EBC Germany Bureau, and we live in interesting times.
In sports, Ryan Florentino brings us the latest in football. Let's listen in.
Arsenal overtook opponents West Ham and moved into fourth place in the Premier League by winning an eventful match at Emirates Stadium. Gabriel Martinelli scored the opener early in the second half before substitute Emile Smith-Rowe confirmed victory for Arsenal late on. Arsenal captain Alexandre Lacazette also had a penalty saved by goalkeeper Lucas Fabianski in the second half. West Ham's Vladimir Kufal was sent off for a second booking in conceding the penalty as he was judged to have fouled Lacazette in the box. Kufal had been booked in the first half when his flailing arm caught defender Kieran Tierney in the face, inciting protest from Arsenal fans. There were further chances for Martinelli, Bukayo Saka and Gabriel as Arsenal were the better side throughout. Saka was Arsenal's biggest threat down the right, and he was involved in the build-up to Tierney's effort. In the second half, Saka himself came close too, while West Ham's best chances fell to Pablo Fornals and Jared Bowen. Despite a strong start to the season, West Ham have won just one of their last 6 games in the Premier League and are now just 3 points clear of Tottenham in 7th, with the top 3 leaders in Manchester City, Liverpool and Chelsea. And from the Premier League, we now move on to Barcelona and their Argentinian striker Sergio Aguero on Wednesday as he announced his retirement from football at a tearful press conference. Just over a month after the 33-year-old was diagnosed with a heart problem, he said, "I've decided to stop playing professional football. It is a very hard moment, but I am happy with my decision. My health comes first," said Aguero, who enjoyed 10 highly successful years at Manchester City before leaving at the end of last season. Aguero was then diagnosed with a heart condition and forced to accept that he would not be able to play again. Aguero's retirement comes at the end of a year marked by the collapse of Denmark's Christian Eriksen, who suffered a heart attack playing for his country against Finland at Euro 2020 last June. Aguero's retirement means he will miss out on the chance to represent Argentina at next year's World Cup in Qatar. "Almost our entire years together," wrote his international teammate and friend Lionel Messi on Instagram. Aguero won 5 Premier League titles in total with City, as well as 1 FA Cup and 6 League Cups, and is the English top flight's all-time top-scoring foreign player. I will stay connected to football for sure, but will try to enjoy life a little bit more," said Aguero. Once again, we thank you for joining us for this week's program. Please come again next time for the latest sports here on ENI UK and Europe edition. Reporting from the United Kingdom, I'm Ryan Florentino, and we live in interesting times.
Thank you for the sports update, Ryan. In today's view from our way to Santorini, Greece. Santorini, among all, is the most famous of them all because of its unique beauty, making it known worldwide and attracting thousands of visitors each year. Visitors will enjoy the warm and sunny weather it has during May to October, perfect time to see the traditional villages, which are mostly built on the edge of the massive cliffs and the wonder cannot miss. The traditional village is built with the Cycladic architecture, featuring the blue domed churches, whitewashed houses, and Santorini is in close distance from other Greek islands and can be reached by ferry. The volcanic landscape will be missed when you visit the top tourist destination in the world. This view is courtesy of Nacy Bolo. Thank you for this great view, Nacy. For today's program, stay safe and keep positive as we bring you more stories next week from the United Kingdom and Europe. I'm Ashley Spiritu, and we live in interesting times.